And we got Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube ready to go. Okay, let me go right here. That's ready. All right. Happy Saturday, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. That's it. We are in the day of preparation. We're still in preparation time, but the Passover event begins tonight at sundown. Where's Sam? I need to double check my chapters. There's that many chapters in there. Oh my God, real quick. 22. YAHsharEL. 23. 24. Okay, yeah, we good. I had double checks. I know we're coming to the end of it. 23. That's 22. All right, beautiful people. Happy Saturday, y'all. Look, we'll talk about that later. Okay, but look, well, it should be, hold on. I'm sorry. Moonrise. Moonrise is tonight. I believe it's like 6:15 p.m. Okay. We're going to get to look at this. I said, peace and blessings, sister. Hey, have you seen the news over Oregon? The whole West Coast scene in the sky. People are seeing the Most High chariots are here. I've seen something. I haven't seen recently. Now I've seen some from Rap the News. This is a guy that shows, he has, all his channels are called Rap the News. I will or I'll Google, hold on, let myself know Oregon Sky so I forget Oregon Sky. Now I have seen some videos over the last year, right? I'm not sure if these are the same ones or if it's different, about what they're seeing in the sky. It's a lot of talk about what's going on. Look, so much so that different times of the day, I'm like, okay, they're seeing all of it. Maybe I'm just not going outside enough at night. Maybe something is in the sky. Last night, I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google when we get off here now. Hold on. So I don't forget. Oregon Sky, Oregon Sky, Oregon Sky. I'm gonna go look, Ali. I know I didn't see it last night. But I know, I wonder, I don't know. I'm gonna check it out. I ain't gonna try and guess what it is. But I don't know. I don't know. I know Rap the News have been showing some stuff, different people, and like the California sky. I have a cousin that lives on the West Coast, and I said, look, listen. I said, are y'all seeing anything in the sky? Like, I need like a person that I know. And I remember my cousin stays over there, but he said he hadn't seen anything, and he may not be paying attention either. I don't know. Maybe I really don't know. I'm gonna have to look at it and see, y'all. But from the videos that I've seen, the people that's recording it, I don't think all of them are actors. Some people are really genuinely freaked out about what they've been seeing in the sky, right? Some people say it look like spaceships or whatever. Some people don't say spaceship, they say UFOs. They say there's definitely something there in the sky. It look like this. It look like something is on fire in the sky. If you go to Rap the News channel, he calls whatever you see that in the sky, he calls it Planet Hell. He said hell is coming down to us. And you'll hear me hollering, fire and brimstone is coming. And he showed me that. I was like, well, there's definitely something there. There's definitely something there that looks like it's fire. And so I've been looking, of course, you don't see any news coverage on it. But there's people with their cell phones recording it, but I haven't seen, like with my own personal eyes, I haven't seen anything here in this sky. If there is, but if there is something in the sky, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying that it is. I'm not saying that it is. But they've been spraying the sky for years now with chemtrails. And we know as it starts spreading, it covers up the sky, right? And they look like clouds. So much so that the chemtrails can cover the sun and they can cover the moon. I've witnessed that with my own eyes. Now, it could be something, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, I've seen quite a few videos lately that say Yahuah's the Most High chariots are here and they're coming. But I hear a lot of other stuff. So not saying, y'all get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to laugh out. I don't really know. I ain't heard nothing. I ain't had no. Well, I've had some dreams, but my dreams are a little bit different about what's in the sky. But I'm gonna check it out. Thank you for that, dog. If you got a link, if you don't mind posting it, like the video you saw, post that link in here. Or if you click on the video down in the comment section, not like the live chat, but in the actual comment section, post the link there for me, Aliyah, so I can make sure I'm looking at exactly what you saw. Okay, and that way I can look around at other stuff. But I'm gonna Google what was in Oregon sky last night anyway. So, but it is Passover night. We are at the end of 400 years. I don't really know what that's gonna look like. Whether everybody gonna wake up spiritually and we will come out and walk and take over the world like that. Some people think we're gonna be snatched away. I don't know. I really don't know what that looks like, y'all. For real. I really don't. Okay. But anyway, I'm gonna check on that. Thank you for that. Belinda Brown. Okay. Okay, thanks. All right, y'all. It's Saturday. Now, what I do know will be in the sky today, and we started seeing it yesterday, is the full moon. That's how we know we got our count right? We got our count on point. So the 15th day of the month, we know is always the full moon. When the moon rises tonight, she will be like 99% full. And as she stays lit and makes her round throughout the sky tonight into the next day, we will see she will become 100% full, i.e. letting us know it is the 15th day of the month. And because it's the first month of the year, we have now come into the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? The Feast of Unleavened Bread, how we know? Because it's always a full moon. Everybody that's celebrating it next week or the week after that or the week after that, and some of them a whole month later, they are wrong. I'm telling you, based on the season and the tree signals, we're in the first month of the new year, right? And we know that we at Passover time. Yahuah said, "This shall be the new year for you. You shall celebrate Passover." Passover leads us into the Feast of Unleavened Bread the very next day. The actual event of Passover is only a few hours. Yahuah said it begins at sundown, right? So sundown, and when the sun comes up, we're in the 15th day. So the Passover event is really only a matter of a few hours from sundown to sunrise the next morning. It's not a whole 24 hours. Read the book of Exodus, right? Read through the Passover event. Look at the time marker, right? Pay attention to that. Because if you get that wrong, you kind of pushing everything off by another half day instead of celebrating the full. Well, Passover's the only one that's like a half day, right? Everything else is a full 24 hours. Even the Day of Atonement, it begins sundown on the evening of the 9th day of the 7th month and goes, and he specifically said, and it ends on the evening of the 10th day of the month. It goes and start at night. Boom, you go into the morning, into the next day. How we know it's a whole nother day? Because he said it ends on sundown on the 10th day. He said you are to begin the Day of Atonement the night before the evening of the 9th day. Like all those things. Shalom, shalom, Mom. Okay, so That's that. So that's how we can verify we got our time right by looking at the clock in the sky. Our witness, our faithful witness, the moon, right? When she ain't being covered up by chemtrails. All right, y'all. It is Saturday, March the 27th, 2021. And it is day 113 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 3-year consecutive day count, day 782. Today we are reading 1 Samuel 22, 23, and 24. And then y'all know what the deal is. We hop over to the legends of the Jews and we pick up, we're reading about the great prophet Elijah, right? Who is also known in heaven as the great and mighty angel Sandalphon, right? Okay. And what was weird to me, I ain't gonna say weird to me, I'm just like, duh, yeah, they done stole everything else. I found out, everybody but the church know this stuff. And I'm like, and so when you say some of these things, people who have been over into like the occultic side or anything outside of the church, this stuff is familiar to them. They've heard this. The church is the only one. And I would say the Muslims too, right? Because they got the same daddy that created them in the church. It's Catholicism, right? They split up some of the truth between groups of people. They give some of it to the Christians, but they twist it up a little bit and they get the other little portion to the Muslims. Some of the same of what they gave to the Christian, but they mix it up just a little bit, just enough to keep you at odds with one another. Till you step back from it all, like, wait a minute, hold on. Y'all is worshiping the same God, ain't y'all? This is really the same religion. Y'all, the way they mix y'all up and screw with y'all mind, y'all can't even see it, right? But everybody else, why they got Yahuah's people fighting amongst themselves, holding on to lies and stuff, they using the real stuff, right? And it works for them, but not as powerfully as it's going to work and is working for the true sons and daughters of the Most Holy, right? The descendants of Jacob. All right, y'all. All right, babe.
Love you.
Love you too. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here with the Shema, beautiful people. All right, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. You should really read the entire chapter 6 of Deuteronomy. Become very familiar with it. We're going to start at verse 3. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuah our God, as He has commanded us. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and jump over here to Samuel. Levon, hey girl, hey. Shalom, shalom. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 21. David went to the town of Nob to see Ahimelech, the priest. Ahimelech trembled when he saw him. Wait, did we read that? We did. I'm sorry. I double-clicked too fast when I went back. When I went ahead, I went back. Okay. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 22. I apologize. 1 Samuel chapter 22. David at the cave of Adullam. Trina, hey girl, hey. So David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. Soon his brothers and all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming. You know what? I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot to check something. Facebook, hold on. I just thought about something. I think I didn't check my privacy settings. Hold on. I know people mentioned they weren't able to see it because of that. Hold on. One quick second, y'all. Let me see. Yep. Hold on. Let's see if I can change it right here. Man. Edit audience. Public. There we go. Okay. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay. So they should be able to see it now. I don't know. I gotta go back and do something, make sure that changes like automatically, so I don't have to keep checking it. Okay. So David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. Soon his brothers and all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming, men who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented, until David was the captain of about 400 men. Later, David went to Mizpah in Moab, where he asked the king, "Please allow my father and mother to live here with you until I know what Yahuah is going to do for me." So David's parents stayed in Moab with the king during the entire time David was living in his stronghold. One day, the prophet Gad told David, "Leave the stronghold and return to the land of Judah." So David went to the forest of Hereth. The news of his arrival in Judah reached Saul. At the time, the king was sitting beneath the tamarisk tree on the hill at Gibeah, holding his spear, surrounded by his officers. She's jumping too fast. "Listen here, you men of Benjamin," Saul shouted to his officers when he heard the news. "Has that son of Jesse promised every one of you fields and vineyards? Has he promised to make you all generals and captains in his army? Is that why you have conspired against me? For not one of you told me when my own son made a solemn pact with the son of Jesse. You're not even sorry for me. Think of it, my own son, encouraging him to kill me as he is trying to do this very day." Then Doeg, the Edomite, who was standing there with Saul's men, spoke up. "When I was at Nob," he said, "I saw the son of Jesse talking to the priest, Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub. Ahimelech consulted Yahuah for him, and he gave him food and the sword of Goliath, the Philistine." King Saul immediately sent for Ahimelech and all his family, who served as priests at Nob. When they arrived, Saul shouted at him, "Listen to me, you son of Ahitub." "What is it, my king?" Ahimelech asked. "Why have you and the son of Jesse conspired against me?" Saul demanded. "Why did you give him food and a sword? Why did you consult Yahuah for him? Why have you encouraged him to kill me as he is trying to do this very day?" Saul was real paranoid, wasn't he? "But sir," Ahimelech replied, "is anyone among all your servants as faithful as David, your son-in-law? Why is he the captain of your bodyguard and a highly honored member of your household? This was certainly not the first time I had consulted Yahuah for him. May the king not accuse me and my family in this matter, for I knew nothing at all of any plot against you. You will surely die, Ahimelech, along with your entire family," the king shouted, and he ordered his bodyguards, "Kill these priests of Yahuah, for they are allies and conspirators with David. They knew he was running away from me, but they didn't tell me." But Saul's men refused to kill Yahuah's priests. They get to live another day. Then the king said to Doeg, "You do it." So Doeg the Edomite turned on them and killed them that day, 85 priests in all, still wearing their priestly garments. Then he went to Nob and the town of the priests and killed the priests' families, men and women, children and babies, and all the cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Only Abiathar, One of the sons of Ahimelech escaped and fled to David. When he told David that Saul had killed the priest of Yahuah, David exclaimed, I knew it. When I saw Doeg the Edomite there that day, I knew he was sure to tell Saul, now I have caused the death of all your father's family. Stay here with me and don't be afraid. I will protect you with my own life, for the same person wants to kill us both. 1 Samuel chapter 23. One day, news came to David that the Philistines were at Keilah stealing grain from the threshing floor. David asked Yahuah, should I go and attack them? Yes, go and save Keilah, Yahuah told him. But David's men said, we are afraid, even here in Judah. We certainly do not want to go to Keilah to fight the whole Philistine army. So David asked Yahuah again, and Yahuah replied, go down to Keilah, for I will help you conquer the Philistines. So David and his men went to Keilah. They slaughtered the Philistines and took all their livestock and rescued the people of Keilah. Now, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, he brought the ephod with him. Saul soon learned that David was at Keilah. Good, he exclaimed. We've got him now. Yahuah has handed him over to me, for he has trapped himself in a walled town. So Saul mobilized his entire army to march to Keilah and besiege David and his men. But David learned of Saul's plan and told Abiathar the priest to bring the ephod and ask Yahuah what he should do. Then David prayed, O Lord, God of Israel, I have heard that Saul is planning to come and destroy Keilah because I am here. Will the leaders of Keilah betray me to him? And will Saul actually come as I have heard? O Lord, God of Israel, please tell me. And Yahuah said, he will come. And David asked, will the leaders of Keilah betray me and my men to Saul? And Yahuah replied, yes, they will betray you. David hides in the wilderness. So David and his men, about 600 of them now, left Keilah and began roaming the countryside. Word soon reached Saul that David had escaped, so he didn't go to Keilah after all. David now stayed in the strongholds of the wilderness and in the hill country of Ziph. Saul hunted him day after day, but Yahuah didn't let Saul find him. One day near Horesh, David received the news that Saul was on the way to Ziph to search for him and kill him. Jonathan went to find David and encourage him to stay in his strong. Jonathan went to find David and encourage him to stay strong in his faith in Yahuah. Don't be afraid, Jonathan reassured him. My father will never find you. You are going to be the king of Israel, and I will be next to you, as my father Saul is well aware. So the two of them renewed their solemn pact before Yahuah. Then Jonathan returned home while David stayed at Horesh. But now the men of Ziph went to Saul in Gibeah and betrayed David to him. We know where David is hiding, they said. He is in the strongholds of Horesh on the hill of Hakilah, which is in the southern part of Jeshimon. Come down whenever you are ready, O king, and we will catch him and hand him over to you. Yahuah bless you, Saul said. At last, someone is concerned about me. Now, here's what's crazy, right? And I think about this as I read through here, and I think about people in let's just say in the church world. And you'll even see this on social media sometimes. So it's just kind of out here, right? And even as you watch stuff and you pay attention, and sometimes you may be confused because it seems like you have two feuding members of the same household, of two people who are supposedly supposed to be serving the same God, right? The same Elohim, the same great mighty one, right? Yet they're fighting against one another, like they're both getting information from the same God that is directly clashing, right? You got David asking Yahuah for help. And then you got Saul blessing people in the name of Yah. You about to betray David to me. When Yahuah told David that he was going to be king, did he not also tell Saul that David, or there was somebody, I'm not sure at this point, that he knew that David would be the one that would take his place as king? I think he was just kind of pissed, right? But we know that there was an evil spirit from Yahuah that was upon Saul. So we know that when we see two feuding members of the same household, it probably is Yahuah directly behind them both, right? But one is giving accurate information, and the other is giving disinformation. But Yahuah is allowing it, right? In order to, he gonna bring this whole class, he gonna bring all this to a head and see who is truly telling the truth, right? Yahuah bless you, Saul said. At least someone is concerned about me. Go and check again and be sure of where he is staying and who has seen him there, for I know he is very crafty. Like he really think Yahuah is with him. Like the people are betraying David to him so he can kill him. But Saul don't realize it's for his very own life, right? Okay. Go and check again to be sure of where he is staying and who has seen him there, for I know that he is very crafty. Discover his hiding places and come back to me when you are sure. Then I'll go with you. And if he is in the area at all, I'll track him down, even if I have to search every hiding place in Judah. So the men of Ziph returned home ahead of Saul. Meanwhile, David and his men had moved into the wilderness of Maon in Arabah Valley, south of Jeshimon. When David heard that Saul and his men were searching for him, he went even farther into the wilderness to the great rock, and he remained there in the wilderness of Maon. Is it Maon? I think it's Maon. I say Moan. Maon. But Saul kept after him in the wilderness. Saul and David were now on the opposite sides of a mountain. Just as Saul and his men began to close in on David and his men, an urgent message reached Saul that the Philistines were raiding Israel again. So Saul quit chasing David and returned to fight the Philistines. Ever since that time, the place where David was camped has been called the Rock of Escape, and David went to live in the strongholds of Engedi. Last chapter for the day, y'all. 1 Samuel chapter 24. David spared Saul's life. After Saul returned from fighting the Philistines, he was told that David had gone into the wilderness of Engedi. So Saul chose 3,000 elite troops from all Israel and went to search for David and his men near the rocks of the wild goats. At the place where the road passes some sheepfolds, Saul went into a cave to relieve himself. But just as it happened, David and his men were hiding farther back in that very cave. Now is your opportunity, David's men whispered to him. Today, Yahuah is telling you, I will certainly put your enemy into your power to do as you wish. So David crept forward and cut off a piece of the hem of Saul's robe. But then David's conscience began bothering him because he had cut Saul's robe. He said to his men, Yahuah forbid that I should do this to the king. Yahuah forbid that I should do this to my Lord the King. I shouldn't attack Yahuah's anointed one, for Yahuah himself has chosen him. So David restrained his men and did not let them kill Saul. Even when he had you right in his grips, he feared the Most Holy even more. But Yahuah is about to let you know right here and there that your life is about to be taken, my G. And King David ain't going to do it. Well, David, his servant, ain't going to do it. After Saul had left the cave and gone on his way, like, how do you get that close? How do you not even feel the spirit of somebody approaching you, right? Because you had an evil spirit from Yah upon you, and you was bereft of your wisdom. Then he shouted, and bereft of all your good senses, apparently. You can't even feel what's going on around you. Then he shouted to Saul, why do you listen to the people who say I am trying to harm you? This very day, hold on. I skipped the whole sentence. So David restrained his men and did not let them kill Saul. After Saul had left the cave and gone his way, David came out and shouted after him, my Lord the King. And when Saul looked around, David bowed before him. Then he shouted to Saul, why do you listen to the people who say I am trying to harm you? This very day, you can see with your own eyes it isn't true. For Yahuah placed you at my mercy back there in the cave. Some of my men told me to kill you, but I spared you. For I said I will never harm the king. He is Yahuah's anointed one. Look, my father, what I have in my hand, it is a piece of the hem of your robe. I cut it off, but I didn't kill you. Imagine Saul like, And I can imagine right then and there when David held that piece of his robe, of his garment in his hand, the words of the great prophet and seer Samuel, his words probably beat him upside the head. The man who cuts off the hem of your robe shall be the king coming after you. Boom. The man who cuts off the piece of your robe shall be the king coming after you. And he knew right then and there that David was that man. Who? Then he shouted to Saul, why do you listen to the people who say, I am trying to harm you? This very day you can see with your own eyes it isn't true. For Yahuah placed you at my mercy back there in the cave. Some of my men told me to kill you, but I spared you. For I said, I will never harm the king, for he is Yahuah's anointed. Look, my father, at what I have in my hand. It is a piece of the hem of your robe. I cut it off, but I didn't kill you. This proves that I am not trying to harm you and that I have not sinned against you, even though you have been hunting me to kill me. May Yahuah judge between us. Perhaps Yahuah will punish you for what you are trying to do to me, but I will never harm you. As the old proverb says, from evil people come evil deeds, so you can be sure I will never harm you. Who is the king of Israel trying to catch anyway? Should he spend his time chasing one who is as worthless as a dead dog or a single flea? May Yahuah therefore judge which one of us is right and punish the guilty one. He is my advocate, and he will rescue me from your power. When David had finished speaking, Saul called back, is that really you, my son David? Then he began to cry. And he said to David, you are a better man than I am, for you have repaid me good for evil. Yes, you have been amazingly kind to me today. But when Yahuah put me in a place where you could have killed me, you didn't do it. Who else would let his enemy get away when he had him in his power? May Yahuah reward you well for the kindness you have shown me today. And now I realize that you are surely going to be king and that the kingdom of Israel will flourish under your rule. Now swear to me by Yahuah that when that happens, you will not kill my family and destroy the line of my descendants. So David promised this to Saul with an oath. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went back to their stronghold. Okay, that's better. All that sun coming in. I don't mind the sun coming in, but I was having a hard time reading the screen. All right, y'all. Okay, thank you, Aliyah. I'll look for it. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop on over here and pick up where we left off with the great prophet Elijah, also known as the angel Sandaphon. Right? That's not far-fetched, right? That's not far-fetched. Enoch, Yahuah changed him into Metatron, right? When he took him, changed him, walked right into paradise alive. Up, he's all up and roaming through all the great heavenly hills and kingdom, wherever he there. And his form has been changed, just like Elijah. Okay, y'all. What is this? This is chapter 7. Yep. Volume 4, chapter 7, page 447, where we left off yesterday. All right, y'all. Censor and Avenger. Okay. Helpfulness and compassion do not paint the whole character of Elijah. He remained the stern and inexorable censor whom Ahab feared. The old zeal for the true and the good he never lost. As witness, he once struck a man dead because he failed to perform his devotions with due reverence. There were 2 brothers, one of them rich and miserly, and the other poor and kind-hearted. Elijah, in the garb of an old beggar, approached the rich man and asked him for alms. So we know from yesterday, Elijah, from time to time, he would disguise himself as different people in order to affect a certain situation he is coming upon. So this time, Elijah appeared to this old man as a beggar. All right. Elijah, in the garb of an old beggar, approached the rich man and asked him for alms. Alms. Can you spare a dime, please, sir? Repulsed by him, he turned to the poor brother who received him kindly and shared his meager supper with him. Okay, I thought I skipped something. Repulsed by him, he turned to the poor brother, who received him kindly and shared his meager supper with him. On bidding farewell to him and his equally hospitable wife, Elijah said, "May Yahuah reward you. The first thing you undertake shall be blessed, and shall take no end until you yourselves cry out enough." Presently, the poor man began to count the few pennies he had to convince himself that they sufficed to purchase bread for his next meal. But the few became many, and he counted, and still their number increased. He counted a whole day and the following night until he was exhausted and had to cry out, "Enough!" And indeed, it was enough, for he had become a very wealthy man. His brother was not a little astonished to see the fortune change in his kinsman's circumstances, and when he heard how it had come about, he determined, if the opportunity should present itself again, to show his most amiable side to the old beggar with the miraculous power of blessing. He had not long to wait. A few days later, he saw the old man pass by. He hastened to accost him and, excusing himself for his unfriendliness at the former meeting, begged him to come into his house. All that larder afforded was put before Elijah, who pretended to eat of the dainties. After his departure, he pronounced a blessing upon his host. "May the first thing you do have no end until it is enough." The mistress of the house thereupon said to her husband, "That we may count gold upon gold undisturbed, let us first attend our most urgent physical needs." So they did, and they had to continue until life was extinct. Remember, he said the first thing. He listened to his wife. Okay, before we start counting all this money that's about to start coming in here to us, let's first go and attend to our physical needs and make sure that we can keep counting and counting and counting. Then live on, baby. So they did, and they had to continue to do it until life was extinct. So they never got a chance to start counting all that money, because the first thing that they did was attend to their physical needs, and that was the thing they did until they went to the grave. The extreme of his rigor Elijah displayed toward teachers of the law. From them he demanded more than obedience to the letter of a commandment. For instance, he pronounced severe censure upon Rabbi Ishmael ben Jose. No, that's not Jose. It's just Jose. Rabbi Ishmael, who was the son of Jos. Okay. Because he was willing to act as bailiff in prosecuting Hebrew thieves and criminals. He advised Rabbi Ishmael to follow the example of his father and leave the country. His estrangement from his friend, Rabbi Joshua, or Joshua, the son of Levi. Ben means son, if y'all didn't know. They'll probably all do, but just in case you didn't, right? So if y'all see Joshua ben Levi, that's Joshua, the son of Levi. That's Levi's boy. His estrangement from his friend Rabbi Joshua ben Levi is characteristic. One who was sought by the officers of the law took refuge with Rabbi Joshua. His pursuers were informed of his place of concealment, threatening to put all the inhabitants of the city to the sword if he was not delivered up. They demanded his surrender. The rabbi urged the fugitive from justice to resign himself to his fate. Better for one individual to die, he said, than for a whole community to be exposed to peril. The fugitive yielded to the rabbi's argument and gave himself up to the bailiffs. Therefore, Elijah, who had been in the habit of visiting Rabbi Joshua frequently, stayed away from his house, and he was induced to come back only by the rabbi's long fasts and earnest prayers. In reply to the rabbi's question why he had shunned him, he said, Dost thou suppose I care to have intercourse with informers? The rabbi quoted a passage from the Mishnah to justify his conduct, but Elijah remained unconvinced. Dost thou consider this a law for a pious man? He said. Other people might have been right in doing what thou didst. Thou should have done otherwise. A number of instances are known to show how exalted a standard Elijah set up for those who would be considered worthy of intercourse with him. Of two pious brothers, one provided for his servants as for his own table, while the other permitted his servants to eat abundantly only of the first course. Of the other courses, they could have nothing but the remnants. Accordingly, with the second brother, Elijah would have nothing to do, while he often honored the former with his visits. So what he's saying is those who are quite haughty, and a lot of times you find them in places of high position. You don't see nothing but sun in there. That's cool. All right, but I want y'all to be able to see. People who are in these high places, they tend to get a little bit big-headed, right? Like on the outside, they got this outward show. Okay, yeah, everybody can come on here, eat at my table. He said for the first course, but then for the second course, all y'all just get the scraps, the leftovers now, right? When those who aren't at high prestigious positions, it's like, oh, come on, you eat all the courses with us. We all the same here, right? And they ain't got all that pomp and circumstance and all them titles and all that stuff, and them thinking, oh, they better get out of here, because don't they know I am the prophet? I am the apostle. People like that make me want to gag. I'm just like, let me go on about my business, because Yahuah is not here with you. I'm out, my G. I'm going to go over here and sit at the children's table, right? I like to hang out with them anyway. Look, let me read this again. I'll just go back. A number of instances are known which show how exalted a standard Elijah set up for those who would be considered worthy of intercourse with him. And the intercourse is not sexual, but y'all probably know that by now. But those who he would converse with, that he would talk to, sit down. I'm gonna come hang out with you today, bro. We're gonna have intercourse, or not intercourse, but we're gonna have conversation back and forth, right? I think I probably should say that just in case somebody didn't quite pick it up. All right, just in case. A number of instances are known which show how exalted a standard Elijah set up for those who would be considered worthy of intercourse with him. Of two pious brothers, one provided for his servants as he provided for his own table. Like, he didn't treat his servants any differently. Like, you work for me, but I'm going to treat you just like I treat my family. Everybody treated like kings and queens around here. You get the good plates too. During the time everybody get good plates, my servants don't get paper plates. Get them the good plates too. I mean, give them the good plates too. Let them drink out the best wine glass. All the y'all family, right? That's how you should treat y'all family. Y'all doing, and you should thank Yahuah for servants, right? Look, I even think, like, if you order groceries and stuff, I look at those people like, you're saving me time. So I always make sure I tip them well. You're serving me something that I didn't have the time to go do. You're actually out there making groceries. And although you don't live in my house as my servant, I still consider them people serving me or my servants. So I treat them well, right? I always make sure to get good tips, and I always speak to them, how you doing? Like, I don't treat people like, oh, just give me my stuff and get out of here, get out of here. Like, some people, I'm just like, y'all get it. A number of instances are known which show how exalted a standard Elijah set up for those who would be considered worthy of intercourse with him. Of two pious brothers, one provided for his servants as for his own table, while the other permitted his servants to eat abundantly only at the first course. Of the other courses, they could have nothing but the remnants. Accordingly, with the second brother, Elijah would have nothing to do, while he often honored the former with his visits. A similar attitude Elijah maintained toward another pair of pious brothers. One of them was in a habit of providing for his servants after his own needs were satisfied, while the other of them attended to the needs of his servants first. To the latter it was that Elijah gave the preference. He dissolved an intimacy of many years standing because his friend built a vestibule which was so constructed that the supplications of the poor could be heard but faintly by those within the house. Rabbi Joshua ben Levi, incurred the displeasure of Elijah a second time because a man was torn to pieces by a lion in the vicinity of his house. In a measure, Elijah held Rabbi responsible because he did not pray for the prevention of such misfortunes. The story of Elijah and Rabbi Anan forms the most striking illustration of the severity of the prophet. Someone brought Rabbi Anan a mess of little fish as a present, and at the same time asked the rabbi to act as a judge in a lawsuit he was interested in. Anan refused in these circumstances to accept the gift from the litigant. To demonstrate his single-mindedness, the applicant urged the rabbi to take the fish and assign the case to another judge. Anan acquiesced, and he requested one of his colleagues to act for him because he was incapacitated from serving as a judge. His legal friend drew the inference that the litigant introduced to him was a kinman of Rabbi Anan's, and accordingly he showed himself particularly complacent toward him. As a result, the other party to the suit was intimidated. He failed to present his side as convincingly as he might otherwise have done, and so lost the case. Elijah, who had been the friend of Anan and his teacher as well, thenceforth shunned his presence because he considered that the injury done the second party to the suit was due to Anan's carelessness. Anan, in his distress, kept many fasts and offered up many prayers before Elijah would return to him. Even then, the rabbi could not endure the sight of him. He had to content himself with listening to Elijah's words without looking upon his face. Sometimes Elijah considered it his duty to force people into abandoning a bad habit. A rich man was once going to a cattle sale, and he carried a snug sum of money to buy oxen. He was accosted by a stranger, none other than Elijah, who injured the purpose of his journey. "I go to buy cattle," replied the would-be purchaser. "Say, if it please Yahuah," urged Elijah. Hold on. Say, if it please Yahuah, urged Elijah. "Fiddlesticks, I shall buy cattle, whether it please Yahuah or not. I carry the money with me, and the business will be dispatched." Okay, so you know how some people be like, "We'll be here tomorrow, God willing, or Yah willing, or Lord willing." That's what Elijah did to this guy. He said, "Well, yeah, you can do that if Yahuah allows you to." And he said, "Say, if it please God." Like Elijah, he said, "Yeah, but say, if it pleases God, or if it pleases Yah, you would do this." And the man replied to him, "Fiddlesticks, I'm going to do it whether he's pleased or not. I'm going to do it anyway," right? Look, okay. "I go to buy cattle," replied the would-be purchaser. "Say, if it please Yahuah," urged Elijah. "Fiddlesticks, I shall buy cattle, whether it please God or not. I carry the money with me, and the business will be dispatched." "But not with good fortune," said the stranger, and went off. Arrived at the market, the cattle buyer discovered the loss of his purse, and he had to return home to provide for himself with other money. He again set forth on his journey, but this time he took another road to avoid the stranger of ill omen. He trying to avoid running to Elijah again. To his amazement, he met an old man with whom he had precisely the same adventures as with the first stranger. Again, he had to return home to fetch money. By this time, he had learned his lesson. When a third stranger questioned him about the object of his journey, he answered, "If it pleases God, I intend to buy oxen." He said, "This ain't gonna happen the third time." The stranger wished him success, and the wish was fulfilled. To the merchant's surprise, when a pair of fine cattle were offered him, and their price exceeded the sum of money he had about his person, he found the two purses he had lost on his first and second trips. Later, he sold the same pair of oxen to the king for a considerable price, and he became very wealthy. As Elijah coerced this merchant into humility towards Yahuah, so he carried home a lesson to the great Tana Eleazar, the son of Rabbi Simon ben Yahuah. This rabbi stood in need of correction on account of his overweening conceit. Once, on the returning from the academy, he took a walk on the sea beach, his bosom swelling with pride at the thought of his attainments in the Torah. He met a hideously ugly man who greeted him with the words, peace be with thee, Rabbi Eleazar. Instead of courteously acknowledging the greeting, said, "O thou white, how ugly thou art." Imagine you being the ugly one and you walking up, you just being kind, like, how you doing, Rabbi? He's like, "Oh, you ugly sight, get away from me." Like, how could somebody in the teaching the words of the most holy, in the study of the Torah, right, that teaches you how to have compassion against your fellow man, come upon somebody who's living in beauty and be like, "Oh, thou wretched sight, get away from me, thou ugly creation." Look, this rabbi stood in need of correction on account of his overweening conceit. Once, on returning from the academy, he took a walk on the sea beach, his bosom swelling with pride at the thought of his attainments in the Torah. He met a hideously ugly man who greeted him with the words, "Peace be with thee, Rabbi." Eleazar, instead of courteously acknowledging the greeting, said, "O thou white, how ugly thou art. Is it possible that all the residents of thy town are as ugly as thou?" "I know not," was the reply, "but it is the matter artificer who created me, that thou should have said, how ugly is this vessel which thou hast fashioned." The rabbi realized the wrong he had committed and humbly begged pardon of the ugly man, another of the proteins. Hold on. Oh, okay. The rabbi realized the wrong he had committed and humbly begged pardon of the ugly man, another of the proteins another of the proteins forms adopted by Elijah. So the ugly man was Elijah. He was disguising himself again, right? Teaching this great teacher a lesson. Remember, rabbi is simply another word for teacher, right? So just in case you didn't know. The latter continued to refer him to the master artificer of the ugly vessel. The inhabitants of the city, who had hastened to do honor to the great rabbi, earnestly urged the offended man to grant pardon, and finally he declared himself appeased, provided the rabbi promised never again to commit the same wrong. The rigor practiced by Elijah towards his friends caused one of them, the Tana Rabbi Jose, or Jose, Jose, whatever, to accuse him of being passionate and irascible. As a consequence, Elijah would have nothing to do with him for a long time. When he reappeared and confessed the cause of his withdrawal, Rabbi Hose said that he felt justified, but his charge could not have received a more striking verification. Intercourse with the sages, or interactions with the sages. And this is good, y'all. Look, Elijah's purely human relations to the world revealed themselves in their fullness, neither in his deeds of charity nor in his censorious rigor, but rather in his gentle and scholarly intercourse with the great in Israel, especially the learned rabbis of the Talmudic time. He is at once their disciple and their teacher. To one he resorts for instruction on difficult points. To another he himself dispenses instruction. As a matter of course, his intimate knowledge of the supernatural world makes him appear far more frequently in the role of giver than receiver. Many a bit of secret lore the Jewish teachers learned from Elijah, and he it was who, with the swiftness of lightning, carried the teachings of one rabbi to another, sojourning hundreds of miles away. So we know that Elijah, from earlier readings, we know that Elijah could traverse the earth in like 4 flaps of a wing, right? That's how fast Elijah could get back and forth. Thus, it was Elijah who taught Rabbi Hose the deep meaning in the scriptural passage in which woman is designated as the helpmeet of a man. Listen. Thus, it was Elijah who taught Rabbi Hose the deep meaning hidden in the scriptural passage in which woman is designated as the helpmeet of man. By means of examples, he demonstrates to the rabbi how indispensable woman is to man. Rabbi Yahuah profited his exposition of why Yahuah created useless, even noxious insects. The reason for their existence is that the sight of superfluous and harmful creatures prevents Yahuah from destroying his world at times when, on account of the wickedness and the iniquity prevailing in it, he repents him of having created it. If he preserves creatures that are at their best useless and at their worst injurious, how much more should he preserve human beings with all their potentialities for good? The same Rabbi Yahuah was told by Elijah that Yahuah sends earthquakes and other destructive phenomena when he sees places of amusement prosperous and flourishing while the temple lies in dust and ashes. So Rabbi Judah, he communicated the following 3 maxims. Let not anger master thee, and thou wilt not fall into sin. Let not drink master thee, thou wilt be spared pain. Therefore, thou settest out on a journey. Take counsel with thy Creator. So there's 3 things. Don't let anger master you. Don't let wine master you. And before you set out on a journey, ask Yahuah about it. Consult with your Creator, right? That also seems similar to the wisdom that King Solomon, remember those 3 brothers that came to him? They said, we come to learn wisdom, right? King Solomon offered them money instead. They took the money, but then the last brother, he said, yeah, no, wait a minute. No, that ain't what we came for. I'm getting this money back. And his brother said, oh, you stupid fool. You better take that money and roll with us. He said, no, that's not why I went to the king. I want to understand wisdom. So he went back to the king and he said, King Solomon, I didn't come here for your great wealth. He said, I want to know what you know. I came for you to teach me, right? He said, okay, I'm going to give you 3 things. He said, if you always remember these 3 things, you will be prosperous, right? If I remember correctly, it says, when you come to a stream of water, don't cross it. Don't cross it. He said, never betray a secret to a woman. And he said, before you travel on the road, consult with your Creator. Ask Yahuah if it's okay for you to travel, right? And so when he came back, he actually kind of ran into all of those things, right? And of course, he met up with his brothers and they actually got caught away by some of the things. And their wealth that they had gotten from King Solomon became the brothers who actually gave his wealth back and took the wisdom. So on his way home, all of those things he ran into. No, I'm sorry. One was, hold on, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I mixed up a couple. He said, okay, when you come to a bed of water, don't try and cross it. Like if you look at it, remember that was the day I said, don't drown, turn around. Don't cross the river. Don't travel at night. And before you set out on your travel, consult with Yahuah, right? Did I have that right? No, I had it right the first time. I'm sorry, y'all, because I'm thinking about, because the guy that got the money that went back for the wisdom, he went home and his wife was pastoring him. So it was never, okay, don't cross. I know what it was. Don't cross a bed of water. Don't travel at night. Don't betray a secret to a woman. Yeah, I had it right the first time. But anyway, he did all that and we got home. His wife passed to him, how did you become so rich or whatever? And then they had a big dinner and stuff and said, oh, okay. And the wives of his 2 brothers came, oh, so you murdered our husband. The wife got them all hyped up because he told them how it had happened. And it was crazy, right? Okay. Now, all right, y'all get it. Let me go back here. The same Rabbi Yahuah was told by Elijah that Yahuah sends earthquakes and other destructive phenomena when he sees places of amusement prosperous and flourishing while the temple lies a heap of dust and ashes. To Rabbi Judah, he communicated the following 3 maxims. Let not anger master thee, and thou wilt not fall into sin. Let not drink master thee, and thou wilt be spared pain. Before thou settest out on a journey, take counsel with thy Creator. In the case of a different opinion among scholars, Elijah was usually questioned as to how the moot point was interpreted in the Heavenly Academy. Once, when the scholars were not unanimous in their views as to Esther's intentions when she invited Haman to her banquets with the king, Elijah asked by Rabbi Bar Abu to tell him her real purpose, said that each and every one of the motives attributed to her by various scholars were true, for her invitations to Haman had many a purpose. A similar answer he gave to the Amora Abathar, who disputed with his colleagues as to why the Ephraimite, who caused the war against the tribe of Benjamin, first cast off his concubine and then became reconciled to her. Elijah informed Rabbi Abathar that in heaven, the cruel conduct of the Ephraimite was explained in 2 ways, according to Abathar's conception and according to his opponent, Jonathan's as well. Regarding the great contest between Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus and the whole body of scholars, in which the majority maintained the validity of its opinion, though a heavenly voice pronounced Rabbi Eliezer as correct, Elijah told Rabbi Nathan that Yahuah in his heaven had cried out, "My children have prevailed over me." On one occasion, Elijah fared badly for having betrayed celestial events to his scholars. Listen, I'll read that again. On one occasion, Elijah fared badly for having betrayed celestial events to his scholars. And listen to this. Y'all gonna probably get this as I'm reading it, because we see that they be trying to do this, right? He was a daily attendant at the academy of Rabbi Judah HaNasi. One day, it was the new moon day, he was late. The reason for his tardiness is the reason for Elijah's tardiness. Elijah was normally, he came to this rabbi's school daily, and he sat and listened to the wisdom the rabbi was teaching, right? One of these particular days, Elijah was late. Listen. The reason for his tardiness, he said, was that it was his daily duty to awaken the 3 patriarchs, wash their hands for them, so that they might offer up their prayers, and after their devotions, led them back to their resting places. On this day, their prayers took very long, because they were increased by the Musaf service on account of the new moon celebration, and hence he did not make his appearance at the academy in good time. Elijah did not end his narrative at this point, but went on to tell the rabbi that this occupation of his was rather tedious. For the 3 patriarchs, who are the 3 patriarchs? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For the 3 patriarchs were not permitted to offer up their prayers at the same time. Abraham prayed first, then came Isaac, and finally Jacob. If they were all to pray together, the united petitions of 3 such paragons of piety would be so efficacious as to force Yahuah to fulfill them, and he would be induced to bring the Messiah before his time. Then Rabbi Judah wanted to read that again. Read it again. And I want y'all to think about the course of this current world where we live at now, right? How they have this national day of prayer, right? Think about it. Think about it. Everybody would come together on this day. Everybody cry out, like, look, listen now, listen. Elijah did not end his narrative at this point, but went on to tell the rabbi that this occupation of his was rather tedious. Think about all the Muslims that get together and pray. They figure they're gonna hit one of these times, one of these days, and we're gonna bring the Messiah or the Mahdi back, right? All of them, they shaking out their rugs, unfolding them, dropping down on their knees. Everybody face the temple. Everybody, Israel, everybody face the east. We're gonna get this right one of these days. Take a listen. Elijah did not end his narrative at this point, but went on to tell the rabbi that this occupation of his was rather tedious, for the three patriarchs were not permitted to offer up their prayers at the same time. Abraham prayed first, then came Isaac, and finally Jacob. If they all were to pray together, the united petitions of three such paragons of piety would be so efficacious as to force Yahuah to fulfill them, and he would be induced to bring the Messiah before his time. Then Rabbi Judah wanted to know whether there were any among the pious on earth whose prayer possessed equal efficacy. Elijah admitted that the same power resided in the prayers of Rabbi Yahuah and his two sons. Rabbi Judah lost no time in proclaiming a day of prayer and fasting, and the summoning of Rabbi Yahuah and his sons to officiate as the leaders of prayer. They began to chant the 18 benedictions. Then they uttered the word for wind, a storm. Pay attention, my G. They understand how the elements work. Then they uttered the word for wind, and a storm arose. Then they continued and made petition for the rain. The rain descended at once. But as the readers approached the passage relating to the revival of the dead, remember the dead is revived by the dew of heaven. As they were coming upon this right here, they go, y'all listen, look, let me go back. Rabbi Judah wasted no time in proclaiming a day of prayer and fasting and summoning Rabbi Yahuah and his sons to officiate as the leaders in prayer. They began to chant the 18 benedictions. Then they uttered the word for wind, and a storm arose. Then they continued and made petition for the rain. The rain descended at once. But as the readers approached the passage relating to the revival of the dead, great excitement arose in heaven. And when it became known that Elijah had revealed the secret of the marvelous power attached to the prayers of the three men, he was punished with fiery blows. To thwart Rabbi Judah's purpose, Elijah assumed the form of a bear and put the praying congregation to flight. Contrariwise, Elijah was also in the habit of reporting earthly events in the celestial regions. He told Rabbi Bar-Shila that the reason Rabbi Meir was never quoted in the academy on high was because he had so wicked a teacher as Elisha ben Abuya. Rabbi explained Rabbi Meir's conduct by an apologue. Rabbi Meir, he said, found a pomegranate. He enjoyed the heart of the fruit and cast the skin aside. Elijah was persuaded of the justness of this defense, and so were all the celestial powers. Thereupon, one of Rabbi Meir's interpretations was quoted in the Heavenly Academy. Elijah was no less interested in the person of the learned than in their teachings, especially when scholars were to be provided with the means of devoting themselves to their studies. It was he who, when Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, later a great celebrity, resolved to devote himself to the law, advised him to repair Jerusalem and sit at the feet of Rabbi Johanan ben Zakkai. He once met a man who mocked at his exhortations to study, and he said that on the great day of reckoning, he would excuse himself for his neglect of intellectual pursuits by the fact that he had been granted neither intelligence nor wisdom. Elijah asked him what his calling was. I am a fisherman, was the reply. Well, my son, questioned Elijah, who taught thee to take flax and make nets and throw them into the sea and to catch fish? He replied, For this heaven gave me intelligence and insight. Hereupon Elijah, if thou possess intelligence and insight to cast nets and catch fish, why should these qualities desert thee when thou dealest with the Torah, which thou knowest is very nigh unto man that he may do it? The fisherman was touched, and he began to weep. Elijah pacified him by telling him that what he had said applied to many another beside him. In another way, Elijah conveyed the lesson of the great value residing in devotion to the study of Torah. Disguised as a rabbi, he was approached by a man who promised to relieve him of all material cares if he would but abide with him. Refusing to leave Jabna, the center of Hebrew scholarship, he said to the tempter, "Wert thou to offer me 1,000,000,000 gold denarii, I would not quit the abode of the law and dwell in a place where there is no Torah." By Torah, of course, is meant the law as conceived and interpreted by the sages and scholars, for Elijah was particularly solicitous to establish the authority of the oral law, and he was solicitous to demonstrate the truth of scriptural promises that appeared incredible at first sight. For instance, he once fulfilled Rabbi Joshua ben Levi's wish to see the precious stones which would take place of the sun in illuminating Jerusalem in the Messianic time, a vessel in which mid-ocean was nigh unto shipwreck. Among a large number of heathen passengers, there was a single Hebrew youth. To him, Elijah appeared and said he would rescue the vessel, provided the boy went to Rabbi Joshua ben Levi and took him to a certain place far removed from the town, from human habitation, and showed him the gems. The boy doubted that so great a man would consent to follow a mere slip of a youth to a remote spot, but reassured by Elijah, who told him of Rabbi Joshua's extraordinary modesty, he undertook the commission, and the vessel with its human freight was saved. The boy came to the rabbi, besought him to go whither he would lead, and Joshua, who was really possessed of great modesty, followed the boy 3 miles without even inquiring the purpose of the expedition. When they finally reached the cave, the boy said, "See, here are the precious stones." The rabbi grasped them, and a flood of light spread as far as Lydda, the residence of Rabbi Joshua. Startled, he cast the precious stones away from him, and they disappeared. This rabbi was a particular favorite of Elijah, who even secured him in an interview with the Messiah. The rabbi found the Messiah among the crowd of afflicted poor gathered near the city gates of Rome, and he greeted him with the words, "Peace with thee, my teacher and guide." Whereunto the Messiah replied, "Peace be with thee, thou son of Levi." The rabbi then asked him when he would appear, and the Messiah said, "Today." Elijah explained to the rabbi later what the Messiah meant by today. What the Messiah meant by today was, for he had in his part that he for his part was ready to bring Israel redemption at any time. If Israel but showed himself worthy, he would instantly fulfill his mission. If Israel but showed himself worthy, he would instantly fulfill his mission. Elijah wanted to put Rabbi Joshua into communication with the departed Rabbi Simon ben Yochai also, but the latter did not consider him of sufficient importance to honor him with his conversation. Rabbi Simon had addressed a question to him, and Rabbi Joshua, in his modesty, had made a reply not to calculate to give one a high opinion of him. In reality, Rabbi Joshua was the possessor of such sterling qualities that when he entered paradise, Elijah walked before him calling out, "Make room for the son of Levi." Yahuah's justice vindicated. It's sad, y'all. I'm going ahead and read this section. Among the many and various teachings dispensed by Elijah to his friends, there are none so important than his theodicy. I think that's what they say. Theodicy, theodicy. The teachings vindicating Yahuah's justice in the administration of earthly affairs. He used many an opportunity to demonstrate it by precept and example. Once he granted his friend Rabbi Joshua ben Levi the fulfillment of any wish he might express, and all the rabbi asked for was, listen, I told y'all about this the other day. I kind of explained this. Here it is. We're upon the section now when one of the rabbis asked to just go with Elijah as he went about his day. He wanted to go with him on his journey. And Elijah told him, "Okay, I'll let you come." He said, "But don't question me about anything that I do." Look. Okay. Once he granted his friend Rabbi Joshua ben Levi the fulfillment of any wish he might express, and all the rabbi asked for was that he might be permitted to accompany Elijah on his wanderings through the world. Elijah was prepared to gratify this wish. He only imposed the condition that, however odd the rabbi might think Elijah's actions, he was not to ask any explanation of them. If ever he demanded why, they would have to part company. So Elijah and the rabbi fared forth together, and they journeyed on until they reached the house of a poor man, whose only earthly possession was a cow. The man and his wife were thoroughly good-hearted people, and they received the two wanderers with a cordial welcome. They invited the strangers into their house, set before them food and drink of the best they had, and made up a comfortable couch for them for the night. When Elijah and the rabbi were ready to continue their journey on the following day, Elijah prayed, and the cow belonging to his Elijah prayed that the cow belonging to his host might die. Before they left the house, the animal had expired. Rabbi Joshua was so shocked by the misfortune that had befallen the good people, he almost lost consciousness. He thought, is that to be the poor man's reward for all his kind services to us? He could not refrain from putting the question to Elijah, but Elijah reminded him of the condition imposed and accepted at the beginning of their journey, and they traveled on. And the rabbi's curiosity unappeased. That night they reached the house of a wealthy man who did not pay his guests the courtesy of looking them in the face. You know how you show up. Say y'all go to a hotel, y'all get in a room, and the person, or you can go into a store or something, and you hear the person who's there, who's attending, hey, how you doing? Let me know if you need anything. But they so busy, they don't even look up or whatever. And it's like, and you already walking in when they don't even look at you in your face, like, hey, how you doing today? You couldn't even offer me the common courtesy just to look up and make eye contact with me and say, hey, how you doing? Thank you. Let me know if you need anything, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and finish up one, but call me at any time. I'll come right. So you let me know if you need any kind of help. Okay. And people, they're taken in by it and they're welcome. Okay. Thank you. I sure will. And they're going about looking through the store without any kind of ill feeling toward you, right? But let you come into that same store and that same person be looking at, hey, how you doing? Let me know if you need anything. You looking like, hey. And you walk through the store like, and you like rolling your eyes at the same time. And now you walk through the store with this ill feel like this. He didn't have a common courtesy to even look up and say, hey, whatever they doing must be important. Now you're going mumbling about them. You know, that this whole principle, you can see it playing out in a whole lot of different places even today, right? Okay, look. But Elijah reminded him of the condition imposed and accepted at the beginning of their journey, and they traveled on, the rabbi's curiosity unappeased. That night, they reached the house of a wealthy man who did not pay his guests the courtesy of looking them in the face. Though they passed the night under his roof, he did not offer them food or drink. The rich man was desirous of having a wall repaired that had tumbled down. There was no need for him to take any steps to have it rebuilt. For when Elijah left the house, he prayed that the wall might erect itself, and lo, it stood upright. Rabbi Joshua was greatly amazed, but true to his promise, he suppressed the question that arose to his lips. So the two traveled on again until they reached an ordinate synagogue, the seats in which were made of silver and gold. But the worshippers did not correspond in character to the magnificence of the building, for when it came to the point of satisfying the needs of the way-worn pilgrims, one of those present said, there is not dearth of water and bread, and the strange travelers can stay in the synagogue, whether these refreshments can be brought to them. Early the next morning, when they were departing, Elijah wished those present in the synagogue in which they had lodged that Yahuah might raise them all to be heads like leaders, right? Rabbi Joshua again had to exercise great self-restraint and not put into words the question that troubled him profoundly. In the next town, they were received with great affability. They were received with great affability and served abundantly with all their tired bodies craved. On these kinds, on these, okay, on these kind hosts, Elijah, on leaving, bestowed, okay, on these kinds, host Elijah, on leaving, bestowed the wish that Yahuah might give them but a single head. Now the rabbi could not hold himself in check any longer, and he demanded an explanation of Elijah's freakish actions. You're like, first of all, are you not a holy man? So why are you giving the good people bad, and why are you giving the bad people good, right? Look. Now the rabbi could not hold himself in check any longer, and he demanded an explanation of Elijah's freakish actions. Elijah consented to clear up his conduct for Joshua before they were separated from each other. He spoke as follows. The poor man's cow was killed because I knew that on the same day the death of his wife had been ordained in heaven, and I prayed to Yahuah to accept the loss of the poor man's property as a substitute for the poor man's wife. As for the rich man, there was a treasure hidden under the dilapidated wall, and if he had rebuilt it, he would have found the gold. Hence, I set up the wall miraculously in order to deprive the Curmudgeon of the valuable find. I wish that the inhospitable people assembled in the synagogue might have many heads, for a place of numerous leaders is bound to be ruined by reason of multiplicity of counsel and disputes. To the inhabitants of our last sojourning place, on the other hand, I wished a single head for one to guide a town. To the inhabitants of our last sojourning place, on the other hand, I wished a single head for the one to guide a town. Success will attend all its undertakings. Okay, so for a town who has many leaders and rulers, they're going to implode from within, and they're going to be fighting and stuff. And he said, and they didn't deserve to be ruled well. So I pray that they will have many heads, that all of them would rise and be a head. And then they're going to come for each other's head, and they're going to implode from within. He said, but for this town, he said, I pray that there be one head, because when there is one head, success follows that town, and that place is blessed, right? Okay. On the other hand, I wish a single head for the one to guide a town. Success will attend all its undertakings. Know then that if thou seest an evildoer prosper, it is not always unto his advantage. And if a righteous man suffers need and distress, think not Yahuah is unjust. After these words, Elijah and Rabbi Joshua separated from each other, and each went his own way. How difficult it is to form a true judgment with nothing but external experiences. How difficult it is to form a true judgment with nothing but external appearances as a guide. Elijah proved to Rabbi Baraka, right? So remember before when I said things are not always as they seem, because you're missing information, right? Remember, Yahuah is always just. Yahuah is always good. So even in situations where it's like, Father, how could you let this happen? This person was innocent, or this child was innocent, or this, and this, right? Remember, Yahuah is always just, and he's always fair. And we are the ones who are lacking information, right? Which is like Elijah said, how difficult it is to form true judgment when nothing but external appearances, as a guide. You cannot rightly judge what you see on the external side when you don't have the internal side to balance it out, so you can see the full, complete picture, right? They were once wailing in a crowded street, and the rabbi requested Elijah to point out any in the throng destined to occupy places in paradise. Elijah answered that there was none, only to contradict himself and point to a passerby the very next minute. His appearance was such that in him, least of all the rabbi would have suspected a pious man. His garb did not even indicate that he was a Hebrew. Later, Rabbi Baraka discovered by questioning him that he was a prison guard. In the fulfillment of his duties, as such, he was particularly careful that the virtue of chastity should not be violated in the prison, in which both men. Hold on, it's missing a word. Hold on. In the fulfillment of his duties, as such, he was particularly careful that the virtue of chastity should not be violated in the prison, in which both men and women were kept in detention. Right? Remember, chastity is a virtue. And when you have chastity, you can be chaste when you're unmarried, but you can also be chaste while you're married, right? By only giving yourself to your spouse. There are different. Chastity is the same, but you can be chaste unmarried, but you can also be chaste while married, and that is a virtue, right? And so remember, I tell you, a lot of times a lot of stuff don't happen for people because that virtue is not in place, right? Because if you don't have that, oh man, that can go in so many areas, especially men and women of the cloth, right? If the virtue of chastity is not residing on the inside of you, as you begin to climb the leaders and more wisdom is being revealed to you, what happens is there is someone that's going to come for that virtue of chastity. And most of the men and women of the cloth fail. So when you're in these positions, right, it's good that you have a spouse. So when things start happening, you can still be chaste in your marriage. But there are some who are called, and there's very few, who can live that way, right? And not allow their flesh to completely take over them, right? So people who can't get control over this, they can only go so far. And then, especially if they can't get it under control and they just start spiraling out of control in the dark places, the light is going to start to be shined on them dark places where everybody going to see that you have lost your virtue.
Mom,
Yes,
what happened to the lemonade?
What happened to the lemonade? It looks like it has all been drunk up.
I can drink some.
I'll make some more in a minute. Okay?
Oh, no, I can't.
Okay, well, go ahead, sis. You got it. Go ahead and make some lemonade. I don't know if y'all use up all them lemons in the refrigerator. Okay, so remember that, y'all. While you are unmarried and while you are married, learn to be chaste. Hold on to that virtue, right? Okay, we ain't gonna go into that no more. Later, Rabbi Baraka discovered by questioning him that he was a prison guard. In fulfillment of his duties as such, he was particularly careful that the virtue of chastity should not be violated in the prison, in which both men and women were kept in detention. Also, his position also brought him into relations with the heathen authorities, and so he was enabled to keep the Hebrews informed of the disposition entertained toward them by the powers that be. The rabbi was thus taught that no station in life precluded its occupant from doing good and acting nobly. Just leave it open, Pooh. Just leave it open. Yeah, you gotta push that. Look, you can't push that one closed first. Push that one closed. You're gonna have to hold that closed while you lift that up. Yep. Okay, use your other hand. Okay, now use your other arm. You got it. There you go. Push it. You got it? Okay, just be careful. Okay, there you go. The dishwasher, y'all. We got to get the door fixed. You got to slam it. And it sounds like it needs some WD-40. Okay. Another time, Elijah designated 2 men to whom a great fortune was assigned in paradise, yet these men were nothing more than clowns. They made it their purpose in life to dispel discontent and sorrow by their jokes and their cheery humor, and they used the opportunities granted by their profession to adjust the difficulties and quarrels that disturbed the harmony of the people living in close contact with one another. And I think we're gonna pause here. We're gonna pause here because Monday when we come back, we're going to pick up right here with Elijah and the angel of death. So we're going to pause right here for the day because we're already at an hour and 30 minutes, y'all. So let's do this. So after Passover, wait, hold on. Oh, I had to think about that for a second. I forgot it's the same day. I said, wait a minute, is this a double Sabbath? Not we ain't gonna be here for 2 days, but I forgot. Once you line the stuff up correctly, it's no more that like 2 day back to back. You can tell you off if that's happening, right? The Sabbath lines up with the Sabbath for the feast days line up with the true Sabbath of the week for that moon cycle when it lines up. Y'all get it. I hope y'all get it, right? Because I was in a habit, I was like, okay, so it's a double Sabbath. It's a Sabbath today and it's a Sabbath tomorrow. That was why while I was still learning, I was like, wait, something still seems to be off here, so. All right. That's why I just had that real quick. Wait a minute. Let me check myself. Hold on. What? Yeah. So Monday, when we come back, we'll be reading about Elijah and the angel of death. Like, I really want to read it today, but if I read this part, I'm going to have to read the next 2 sections. So I figured we just want to stop right here today and we'll pick this up Monday, right? Okay. So that was the Legends of the Jews. We started on page 447 and we stopped on page 451. And we read 1 Samuel 22, 23, and 24. It is Saturday, March the 27th, 2021, day 113 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And on the 3-year consecutive day count is day 782. That is about the Sabbath days and the feast day Sabbath days added into the count. Guys, this is also in preparation time for the Passover event. Tonight, as the sun goes down, you should be eating with your family. Read over. Matter of fact, during this whole festival, starting with Passover tonight, what you should be reading, I didn't say you should be, but it's always good to, because we're in this season, take the time and read over with your family the events of Exodus. And now we have multiple references that gives more of the events and not just the Bible. You can read in the Bible, pull up the Apocrypha, open up YAHsharEL. Yes. Okay, very good, baby girl. Because YAHsharEL starting in, I want to say it's chapter 72. 72, because I know when you get to chapter, I want to say it's 82 or 81 is when Moses and Aaron, they come back the second time to talk to Pharaoh about letting Yahuah's people go, because it was a space of 2 years from the very first time Aaron and Moses showed up at Pharaoh. Yahuah said, let my people go. It was 2 years from that first time, and that first time they went in there, they walked in there with lions, right? The Pharaoh had the lions sitting outside there like they were watchdogs. Moses and Aaron, because they had control over the elements, they pretty much spoke to them big cats, and them cats walked in there beside them like they was their puppies, and they was under their control, right? Y'all better get this. I'm like, yeah, I want me a couple lions. Oh, when we get our steak, I was like, oh, can we have lions? What about some tigers? I want all of them. Let me get them too. Want some giraffes? Let me think about all this stuff, y'all. But seriously, I want me a couple lions, right? Look. Okay, so, but anywho, you can read through those, I ain't gonna say different accounts, but accounts with more of the story, filling it in. And also you can pull up Legends of the Jews if you have this, right? Split it up over the 8-day feast, right? Passover being the first day. Well, it's a feast of all of its own. Some people, they just count it all together, call it an 8-day feast, but it's really a 1 day plus a 7-day, which the 7 days is a feast of unleavened bread. But during this time, I would recommend that you kind of read over the Passover story where you can pull all the accounts from, so you can have like the full story of everything, all the plagues that weren't included in the Bible. It gives you deeper detail. And the 3 days of darkness, we find out, is not 3 days of darkness at all. It's actually 7 days of darkness. But the 3 days that they pull out is the 3 days of deepest darkness, right? So that's what the Bible keeps. The other 7 days, there were days of darkness, but not like the main 3 days, which was deepest darkness, right? And 2 of those deepest darkness were had at the beginning, And that last day of deepest darkness was when they got to the Red Sea. It wasn't 3 days consecutive back to back, right? It was the first 6 days. The first, was it? Hold on. It was 7 days. So we had 3 over here. So the first 4 days, the first 2 days, it was like, I'm doing it all wrong, my count. But anyway, it was 7 days of darkness. The first few days were like a light dark, but it was still dark where they could still kind of see. But when the deepest darkness, the hell type thick darkness, it says the darkness that you could feel set in, nobody could move, because whatever you were doing, if you were in stride walking, that's where you stayed, because it was so thick that you couldn't move in. It was almost like being enclosed in like jello or something, right? Although you can move jello, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's almost like being stuck in between concrete and stone. You couldn't move. It explains it about that. It's saying wherever you were when the deepest darkness set in is where you stayed until it lifted, right? There were people, they may have been sitting on the toilet or whatever. They was sleep. They was laying in their bed. That's where they laid. If they was sitting in a tub or whatever, that's where they sat, because you couldn't see, you couldn't move. All you could feel was the darkness, the deepest darkness. And then when they got out to the sea, like I said, the very last, so those first 6 days of darkness was experienced in Egypt while the plagues were rolling, but the last one Yahuah held for when they got to the Red Sea, to where he set the barrier between them where the Egyptians could not cross over to mess with the Israelites, right? So you get all that, go through all of that so you can see the bigger picture. And some of the misunderstandings that kind of be cleared up for you when you go through it this time, and just become really familiar with the story, you know. So eat dinner, talk about it with your family. Remember, it's unleavened bread for the whole 7 days plus the 1 day of Passover, so 8 days of unleavened bread. So y'all on the countdown. I still got some stuff I need to get out of here. If y'all observing it and removing all the leaven yeast products and stuff out your house. But if you have things, a couple people actually asked me yesterday, if you have things in your house that act as leavening agents, but they're not of themselves leavening agents by themselves, like Tiffany mentioned, vinegar and lemon. You don't have to get rid of your vinegar. You don't have to get rid of your lemons. Just don't use them to cause the leavening action to happen during this week. Figure out something else to eat, y'all, where you don't have to have anything that rise. The whole point is we're remembering. It's a memorial feast for us to remember and keep at the forefront of what Yahuah did for our ancestors during this time, how he rescued them. We should be kind of like going through the motions, kind of like to simulate what happened so we can experience it, so we can have like real life feelings. Okay, this is what this was. Although it's not just like it, but he said it would be a memorial feast for us to remember, so we would never forget what he did for us, right? Okay. And also we can verify we at this time because the moon in the sky, she is full, right? Yes, baby girl.
Why would you get all your foods up?
Because they were hungry. They ate it up. They ate all of it up.
I still want.
I know you fell asleep, baby girl. They ate up all the stuff for the tacos, but I do have a little put up for you. I got you, sis. Hold on, I got you. Give me a second. I'm going to heat some up for you. I'll put a little bit away for you because I knew you wanted something, but you fell asleep by the time everything had got done.
Oh.
Yes.
Why?
I told you I'll put some up for you. Okay, y'all. So remember, it'll be a full moon out here. All right, I explained a little bit about that at the beginning. So let's go ahead and do the bless. I'm going to check real quick. So I saw a couple comments come in. But I know it's Saturday, but some people may actually be working. So if you had to work, don't go to work, people. Remember, it's recorded. I like to take a few more extra minutes on the weekend because people are off. You can stay a little bit longer if you want to, right? And I get to read a little bit more because I'd be super excited. Okay. So the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6. Remember, first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. Everybody can take the Nazirite vow, man or a woman, right? Everybody, I believe, should consider at least once in their life taking a vow for however long. It's your choice. You choose how long you want to do it, right? But during this time, you're set apart. You know, Yahuah does wonderful things with Nazirites should you decide to take the vow. May the odds be ever in your favor, right? And Yahuah spoke unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise shall ye bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuah bless us and keep us. May Yahuah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people.
But nobody.
So,
But nobody gets in these.
you know, I don't know. I know I changed my setting for Facebook to go public, but I'm not sure if I saw it change when I went to the Facebook page, but I'm not sure that it actually changed the live video. I saw that it did, but I'm not sure that it refreshed. Because I know a couple people still didn't come in. But yeah, and they sent messages. So they're gonna probably, unless they went over here to YouTube. See, Tiffany, I'm finding there is great strength in being able to stay chaste, even when temptations come. It is so empowering, isn't it? Yo, it is. It really is, right? That, let me tell you, even after, although I should have been stoned for having a child out of wedlock, blessed be the most holy for his grace and mercy, right? He saw the internal when the external, when by external judgment, I should have been joining Keisha being stoned last week, right? Yes. Okay, baby girl.
It's not taste good.
It don't taste good? We'll check it. We'll add a little bit more ingredients to it.
No, I already did.
Okay, well, we'll leave it like that, sis. So we need to make sure the notification bell is on. Yeah, they're gonna have. Well, see, the thing was, Alicia, because yesterday when I posted it, because I posted a previous video of the kids, I changed the privacy setting. But when you change your privacy setting, it just automatically everything that you post from then on posted at that privacy setting, and I forgot about that, and that's why quite a few people, they say, hey, I saw your I didn't get the notification, it didn't pop up. I'm like, why? You know, so I'm like, let me check and see, make sure I didn't do something. And lo and behold, that's what it was. And I remembered it this morning, but after I had already got started, so I went to the webpage Facebook to change it, and I saw that it changed, but I still didn't see that they came in because we were like already live, and I didn't want to stop the video and just restart it. I'm gonna have to make myself here a note. check settings, or I'm gonna have to make a couple frequent posts and make sure they're all public. Oh, I'm gonna have to manually go back in and change the setting and change it back from here on out, make everything public or whatever, you know. But a lot of times when I post stuff with the kids, I'll make those settings private so everybody in the world can't see them, right? So, but yeah. Okay, yeah, but definitely there is great strength in being able to stay chaste, Tiffany. Like I was saying, like when I was younger, before I had got married, when I decided, okay, I ain't doing this no more, I'm gonna keep myself, like, Father, make me a renewed virgin again. Granted, I already had a child, and I wasn't married, you know, so, but I'm like, Father, make me chaste again. Like, you know, so I just kind of pulled myself together. I really did. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I had 2 slip-ups. But I'm just like, oh, but I felt so bad. It's like, how could I let myself get to that place? But the thing was, at that time, I saw, look, when I tell you, when you make a vow to become chaste, something is going to come for that vow, come for that virtue, right? And so what I began to notice, wait a minute. Oh, hold on, Tootie. Check the microwave. And that's when Yahuah, he really began to like show me. He said, you have to prepare for these things that you know that are coming. Because if you prepare ahead of time, you won't be caught off guard when it shows up, right? Just like somebody who's trying to stop a habit of smoking or whatever, you have to prepare because you know the temptations are going to come. So what are you going to do to replace this habit when you find yourself in a situation where you normally, like, you have to completely change your atmosphere? Like, you literally have to set boundaries around yourself in order to keep your vow, because you're human and you know you will be tested. Your words and your vow is going to come for you to see if you're serious about it. That's how I look at it. So, okay, so when you come, because I know you're coming, what am I going to do? First of all, I'm going to change everything around me that I know, okay, I'm not going to put myself in these same situations, because it's, well, I know I'm hanging out over here, so I'm not going to hang out over here anymore. You know, don't hang out with people that smoke or do the things that you're trying to cut off. You got to completely change everything, right? So, and even with that, okay, so if you know, is this fine man at the gym, you might need not to go to the gym, or you need to find another gym to go to. Or if this fine man and all the gyms you done searched out says you might need to get some equipment at home. Like, seriously, that was one of the things. I love to work out at the gym, But then when you go to the gym, and especially when the men start hitting on you, it's like, oh, I'm trying to walk on the treadmill or run. Oh my gosh. And I immediately start thinking about my vow. And at that time, I was active duty military. You out to sea. Oh my gosh. Oh, Father, what I'm going to do? What is I'm going to do? You know, so, and I like, because I was Navy, but we had the Marines on board with us. And I like to work out with the Marines just because I like your workouts more thorough. So I'm going to work out with them. I became real good friends with the Marines. And it was male Marines. I was on the ship, and women was just getting on the ship. When I was up there, it was only a handful of us, you know, but the guys was cool, you know, I was cool with the guys or whatever. But it's like, oh, yeah, we can't be doing this. And out here sweating. So I say, yeah, I can't work out with y'all no more. You know, so I'm like, well, I'm probably just gonna not have to work out this 6 months while I'm out here. I'm gonna do like little push-ups and a birthing and stuff, or go when I know that they're done with their workouts. But it's always people straddling doing their workouts and stuff. So you have to prepare to fight for your chastity, right? Because if you take a virtue and you don't fight to keep it, you will lose it, because someone or something is going to come for it, right? So you have to know that. You have to prepare yourself ahead of time and you got to know that you're going to fight. The more you fight, the more efficient and the more efficient and the better you will become, until the temptation, not going to say it's going to ever stop coming. It'll rear its ugly head every now and again, but it's like, nope, but you've been built up the strength and the character enough times to just completely where it don't bother you anymore. You going about your business. Now, I'm not going to say, you know, I'm good, it ain't bother me. I still would not linger around after multiple fights. I would not linger around where the enemy sleeps, right? I just would not. Like, oh, you there? Yeah, I ain't got that problem, but I ain't going to let it possibly sneak up on me and become my problem again. So I'm out of here. Nope, I can't come there. Yeah, no, you gotta always, no Netflix and chilling alone. You can't do that. Look, I'm telling you. So so that's one thing. And it's that thing right there, the chastity part, people. The chastity part. Think about it. This is how everything got turned upside down through unchaste behavior, right? The angels came in and up it says the sons of God, or virgins will say, you angels came down and slept with women, the human women. Chastity is a big deal, especially in the spiritual realm. You're not going to be able to have spiritual secrets revealed to you if you cannot keep yourself chaste, right? Think about it. All on the flip side, you call it whatever you want to call it, new age, Satan worshippers, whatever, occult, whatever. What are they using? They're using sexual rituals to bring them power and stuff. Sex is a power. Sex is a power, right? But if you keep it chaste within the confines of a marriage between husband and wife, you can harness that power in a chaste fashion and have more power, even for the ones who are committing unchastity all over the world. Like, seriously, we talked about that a little bit in a few videos ago, right? So I'm just saying, you really want to consider that. So if you want Yahuah to reveal things to you, like unseen things and secrets that everybody would want to know about, you have to keep yourself chaste. Like, that's something you have to fight for. Don't let anybody come take that virtue from you, right? And that's something you have to give away, right? That has to be your choice. Either through carelessness, you're going to give it away, by intoxicating yourself with wine to where you're not in control of all your faculties, and you're going to give it away by mistake because you weren't thinking. But those who are keeping, let me tell you something, those who guard that virtue, let me make sure I say this right, because as I was about to say it, I just had a thought about something. See, I guess that would kind of, I'll put it this way. Okay, because this is going to kind of deal with some of the only being able to see external things and internal. But okay, so let me say it this way. Those who are on purpose walking in Yahuah's law, statutes, and commands, and on purpose are seeking Yahuah to know what he wants and how this world works, and seeking him for a secret. It's not that you want to use him, but you simply want to know his ways and how this world works, right? Those people who are on purpose, keeping themselves chaste, whether married or unmarried, different things Yahuah will reveal to you, right? And it's those people and the things you can't control, because your virtues that you guard and the laws that you keep, Yahuah will keep you. So your virtue can't be taken from you, right? You have to give it away. And I'm specifically talking about a man or a woman coming to rape you, to take that virtue from you. Yahuah will keep that happening to you, keep that from happening to you, because you keep his commands. Now, I said it in that way because I think about some things with the innocent and how that could happen. And, but that's what, like I said, let me word it this way, because there's some unseen things that may be happening here. So, okay, Father, how could you let that happen? But I also thinking about, I got a lot of thoughts about that, but I'm keeping it with understanding that I don't know everything and I don't know the internal things, right? But it also has to do with the authority of the parents and the rule that you're under. All that stuff like kind of plays together. It's a really, really big picture. But back to it. So if you keep yourself chaste, you will realize you will get a lot further, and Yahuah will begin to reveal a lot more things to you that the masses don't normally get, right? Where everybody's like right hearing their information and understanding. Those who are chaste are allowed to step up a few more steps closer to the throne, right? Think about it. And when we talked about Joseph, there were 70 steps to the Pharaoh's throne, to the throne, and you could only ascend as far as many languages as you knew. For each language of the nation, which was 70 nations at that time, they all spoke a different language, and each step represented a different language, right? So if you only knew one language, you could only ascend one step. And it's quite possible that the king sitting on the throne, the Pharaoh, he would not hear what you were saying, right? And we know that a supernatural thing happened with Joseph, to where when he was in prison the night before he was to go to see Pharaoh, there was a supernatural thing that happened. And the angel taught Joseph all 70 languages, right? And so when he came in, the people didn't know that. They said, this Hebrew, how you going to make him ruler next to you in line, king or Pharaoh? He only knows one language, and everybody knew that. You had, in order to even get close to the king, you had to speak all 70 languages. And we know, of course, the king speaks 70 languages, but Joseph got on up in there. He did his morning thing. They let him shave. He did his little bath, and he got all clean, looking all good, going up in there. And I'm sure it was a full stride motion, right? Every step, he just kept ascending. Right. They said, well, if he can ascend these 70 steps, then we'll see that he is worthy of being a second in command under you. Joseph went on up in there, and every step he took, he changed his language to a language of the nation. And everybody in there present, somebody spoke one of them languages where they could verify that he is speaking our language. He is speaking our language. Who is this man that knows our language? Is he not a Hebrew? He's speaking this, he's speaking that, and he spoke every last language. He was face to face with Pharaoh. What? Joseph was chaste, right? So your chastity will allow you, that virtue will allow you to climb higher and higher until you become face to face with Pharaoh. What? My God says, let his people go, right? And who else can ascend that high? You have to hold, like you're literally in a game. Look, I like to look at this. It's like the Hunger Games out here. We look, people getting disqualified left and right because you can't get this under control. And I myself am not exempt, right? Daily I pray, I'm like, Father, keep me humble, keep me from ever falling before you. I said, because I want to be in this race. If you're going to do something, not that I'm seeking anything like this, I was like, I really want to know the wisdom and all the cool stuff, right? Because I want to be able to teleport, out of here, go to Hawaii. Like, I don't want to be doing this to be famous and known and stuff. I want to know the wisdom. Show me how I can transverse this world. You put this here, it's like this big science lab. These are the things I want to know. These are the things that excite me, right? And when you tell me a secrets, there are secrets I keep to myself, but there are some things that I can share with you, right? For those who want to listen to it and knows that, look, y'all, you really know where we live at and what we can do? So But that's it, y'all. Okay, I like to chat. It's Saturday. We already almost in 2 hours, but it's Passover, y'all. Sundown. Get ready. We about to do this, y'all. All right. So with that being said, that was just that one comment. I'm sorry. I didn't even look over here. YouTube comments. I'm sorry, YouTube. Hold on. Let me look. Okay, Aliyah, you had a, you know what? I think somebody else posted. I think they tried to post a link here in the live chat, but it didn't show up. So remember, you got to go to the comment section and also post it. I see your comment, but I don't see the link. So make sure, like after this, I'm not sure if you can pull up the comment section while we're live, but you have to scroll down like the regular comment section and post it there. Like copy your comment and post the link there. Okay, so I can look at it. Okay. Okay, now we know that Eliyahu or Elijah, that's how you pronounce the name, was a Malachi coming, or an angel coming to fulfill the Most High Yahuah's ways, and he got taken back to heaven. So would Elijah come back with Moses as the two witnesses the Most High foretold us? Well, we know Elijah definitely going to be here. This girl left my freezer open. I wrote it on my refrigerator. The two witnesses, I believe it's Elijah and Moses. Elijah, I wrote on my refrigerator, and she got my freezer open. My freezer is just open, and I got my thing right there. But as we read through here, we know that the two witnesses are Elijah and Moses. Yeah, he's definitely is one of the witnesses. Elijah be back and forth all the time now. Like, he done probably showed himself to some of y'all. I don't know, maybe. But we know from what we read, they've been coming here, disguising themselves, right? You know, the scripture said, be careful with entertaining strangers because you might be entertaining angels. Like, that's the real deal. That's real deal. Okay. Typical heathen answers as if tomorrow's belongs to them, shaking my head. Yeah, oh yeah, you must have put that when we were talking about, he said, if Yahuah says it's okay, or if Yahuah wills, right? Okay. What's your meal for Passover? Basic Passover meal. Here's what we doing. Unleavened bread, lamb, and a salad. But I will probably, I don't know, they're gonna probably be like, Mom, make some pasta, macaroni, cheese, or something. But you can just kind of make sure it's unleavened. Most pasta anyway is made from unleavened products, but there is some that uses yeast. So be careful. But yeah. Well, that sounds good, Chrissy. We're doing lamb salad with kale, arugula, unleavened bread, asparagus. Yeah, that sounds good. Asparagus sounds good. I ain't had asparagus in a minute. That sounds good. Yeah, so, but that's gonna be it. That's pretty much. Oh no, Dana said that's what y'all doing. You was answering Christy. Dana and them doing lamb salad with kale, arugula, unleavened bread, and asparagus. You forgot your kale. I got arugula, salad, the spring mix in my refrigerator. So, but I'm gonna run out here to the store here in a second. So make sure I get all my missing ingredients and everything. All right, y'all. That's it. I ain't got nothing else. I'm just chit-chatting now. So I'm going to get about this day because I still got a couple things I need to get out of here, make sure everything's sitting on the counter. And I guess, I mean, if the stuff that's open, it's just going to go in the trash, right? You know, but if I got other things, I'll be knocking on Mr. Henry door again. Again, this year, Mr. Henry, listen, it's Passover again, you know. But yeah, that's what I did that last time because it was so many things that was unopened. You was like, go back and check again. You missed some stuff. Double check this. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh! And it was cancer soups, right? Like Progresso soup and everything. That sometimes I take and I add other vegetables and stuff too, but it had yeast in it, leavening products. So, but all right, y'all. With that being said, Alicia said I need to rap with Eli. I know, right? I like come back here, Sandal Fine, right? Got to do one more sweep through this pantry. Yeah. Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and get out of here for the day. I'll see y'all back here bright and early Monday morning, 7:15 a.m. We'll probably chit-chat a little bit about the happenings of whatever today brings and tomorrow,
Mommy.
Yahuah willing, right? So I gotta get it. Sometimes I do that. I remember one time I said,
Mom,
yes,
the
baby.
turkey.
Okay, hold on, baby. And Aliyah been really good about that. He said, if y'all wills, you know, so, or the Most High will. So I myself got to get better about that, because I just be like, you know, yep, doing this, and then I'm like, okay, Father, if it's your will, we're gonna do this. Y'all willing, we're gonna do this.
Mommy.
All right, y'all. So gotta go to the baby trying to get me to finish up this lemonade she making. All right, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all bright and early Monday morning, 7:15 a.m. Be blessed. Enjoy this Passover feast holiday with your family. Spend time with the Most Holy, and may He reveal secrets and wonders to you as you keep the virtue of chastity, people. I love y'all.
Mom.
Yes, baby girl.
Look.
Hold on.
Look. Mommy, look.
Hold on to let me log out of this. Okay.
Mommy, look.
Yes.